The samurai you think you know never existed. For most of us, the samurai are legends, masters of honor, warriors of discipline, heroes who lived and died by a sacred code. But here's the secret. The real samurai were nothing like the heroes we imagine. Their world was brutal, political, chaotic, and drenched in blood. Today, we're not telling the myth, we're telling the truth. Welcome to 8-Bit History. A warrior class built on fear, not honor. The samurai didn't begin as noble guardians of Japan. They were created for one purpose: to enforce control. In the 900s, powerful landowners needed muscle. Warriors who could intimidate farmers, suppress rebellions, protect estates, and collect taxes by force. These men became the Pochihori, first samurai. They were not knights, not defenders of justice. They were enforcers. Hired to maintain order through fear, their rise to power began not on the battlefield, but in the rice fields of Japan. Yes, the Sengoku reality, a country at war with itself. For the next 400 years, Japan tore itself apart. The samurai fought in endless civil wars. Clans ambushed each other, cities were burned to ash, villages were wiped out, temples became battlegrounds. One warlord, Oda Nobunaga, showed just how brutal the samurai world could be. In 1571, he burned the sacred mountain of Hiei to the ground, killing thousands of monks, civilians, and children. To him, fear was a weapon, and the samurai delivered it without hesitation. The truth is simple: most samurai battles were not fought against foreign enemies. They were fought against their own people. The katana myth was the sword that became a legend. Hollywood loves the image of the samurai slicing through enemies with a katana, but in reality, the katana was keiōzu, not their main weapon. Not even close. For most of samurai history, bows, spears, and polearms ruled the battlefield. The katana was a status symbol, a sidearm, not a war-winning tool. The myth of the perfect samurai sword grew centuries later, inflated by stories, nationalism, and modern pop culture. The real samurai relied more on strategy than on swordsmanship. Loyalty was a strategy, not a virtue. You've heard the stories. A samurai always stays loyal to his lord, except that's not what the records show. Real samurai loyalty was conditional. If a daimyo, lord, was weak, abandon him. If a rival offered a better future, switch sides. If betrayal meant survival, betray. Many of Japan's greatest victories were achieved not through bravery, but through treachery. Even the famous story of the 47 Ronin, often told as the ultimate example of loyalty, was heavily manipulated by storytellers, censored by the government, and drastically changed from reality. In truth, loyalty in the samurai world was a tool, used only when useful. The Bushido lie, a code invented after the samurai era. Here's the biggest historical shock. Bushido, the samurai code, was not written or followed by the samurai. During the actual samurai era, there was no universal code, no single rule book, no sacred principles. The Bushido we know today was invented in the late 1800s, during the Meiji Restoration. Why? Japan needed a heroic past, a source of national pride, a myth to unify the country. So writers, politicians, and educators created the idea of the honorable samurai. The real samurai, they never followed Bushido. Bushido followed them centuries later. Seppuku, a tool of control, not honor. Seppuku is often portrayed as a deep, noble ritual, but the truth is far darker. Most samurai who performed seppuku did it because they were forced. It was a punishment, a political command, a way for a lord to maintain control, and a method to avoid the execution of one's family. This was not spiritual purity, it was a system of coercion. Even the assistant who ended the samurai's suffering, the kaishakunin, did not always act out of mercy. Many samurai died terrified, not noble. The fall, the Ronin, crime, and a lost class. When Japan finally entered an age of peace under the Tokugawa shogunate, the samurai became obsolete. No wars, no battles, no need for warriors. Thousands lost their status and became Ronin, masterless samurai. Some wandered, seeking purpose. Some became storytellers, bodyguards, or teachers, but many turned to banditry and organized crime. In fact, Edo period police forces recruited ronin specifically because only a samurai can catch a samurai, a warrior class built on fear, now struggling to survive in peace. Reinventing the samurai, the myth that outlived the warriors. By the 19th century, the samurai were officially abolished. Their swords, armor, and titles were taken away. Japan wanted to modernize, and the warrior class no longer fit into the future. But the myth of the samurai lived on. Writers turned them into heroes. Movies turned them into legends. Anime turned them into icons. Games turned them into unstoppable warriors. And the world fell in love with a version of the samurai that never truly existed. Now, 40 final, the real samurai. So who were the samurai? Not sacred warriors, not masters of perfect honor, not icons of purity. They were human, flawed, ambitious, violent, strategic, and often brutally practical. The myth is clean, but the truth is complicated and far more fascinating. This was the dark truth of the samurai, and this what is 8-bit history.